Haydi hep beraber bakalım. Yeni lig neler olacak? Bu 2 hakkında neler olacak? Boss Ligi olacak diyen var. Hype'lıyız, son 1 dakika. Hadi bakalım. Hadi bakalım. Son 1 dakika neler olacak bu 2'de? Ve özellikle PoE yeni liginde. Çünkü PoE 2 3 ay kapalı, 3 ay açık. Anca 2025 gibi. O da ertelenmezse son 1 dakika. Arkadaşlar bu arada droplar var. Bu arada son bir kez daha hatırlatayım. Bundan sonra hatırlatmayacağım. Eğer izlerseniz drop ödülü geliyor. Fakat hesabınız bağlı değilse drop ödülü alamazsınız. 45 dakika sonra herkes bana geldi derken bana niye gelmedi derseniz ünlem drop yazın. Hesabınızı bağlayın. Yoksa kafasını alırsınız. Ödülü alamazsınız, haberiniz olsun. Ödülün ne olduğu ve hesabını nasıl bağlayacağını ünlem drop'ta anlattım. 40 saniyelik video izle. Yoksa ödülü alamam. Haberin olsun. Hemen 2 dakika pıtı hesabını bağla, yoksa onu diyeyim bir daha şey olmasın. Haydi bakalım, geliyor. Geliyor, üzümlü kekim geliyor. Beş, 4, 3. Hadi bakalım.
Hi, I'm Chris Wilson from Grinding Gear Games. Welcome to our live stream. We have a busy
Ne oldu?
lineup today with announcements for Path of Exile 2, as well as the exclusive reveal of Path of Exile Necropolis, which launches on
Ses
March
nasıl?
29th. For the first time ever, we'll be releasing this expansion simultaneously on all platforms, PC, Mac, and console.
Kafa
Twitch
çok
drops are
fena
enabled on
parlıyor
today's
lan.
live stream, so make sure you follow the instructions below
Ödül
in
bu
order to
olacak.
claim your suffering back attachment. Today's stream
Ses
will
iyi
start
değil mi?
with Path of Exile 2, which
Biraz
Jonathan
daha.
will show you our latest announcements. Mark will
Verdim
then take
biraz
you on
daha.
a deep dive into the new Path of Exile Necropolis challenge
Biraz daha vereyim mi?
league, which launches in 1 week. He'll cover the league mechanics, its deep crafting system, large endgame changes, some improvements to
Okey değil
the
mi?
core Path of Exile campaign, and finally some quality of life
Şu an
features.
ses okey değil mi?
We'll then show you our new
Böyle devam
support
edelim.
packs, and we'll head into a live Q&A session where Ziggy D will
Support
ask us your
pack'ler de var,
questions from
doğru.
Twitch chat. After the live stream, we'll drop the full patch notes.
Hey guys, it's time to chat about PoE 2
Aha,
again.
oyunun en
It's
taşaklı
only
adamı
been
şu
a
an.
few months since we talked about the
Oyunu
mercenary,
kuran adam
yet even
GG'ye.
since then a huge amount has changed. When
Jonathan.
we announced the mercenary, we also showed off a lot of the new capabilities that our engine has around animation and character control. Moving while shooting was a huge deal in that class, but there were a lot of other more subtle things going on to make it feel good too. Well, in recent times we've only been showing off new character classes, but one thing I've been really excited about is to go back and apply all the new ideas and capabilities that we have to our old classes too. Today I'd like to show off the Ranger, and I hope that you guys like what you see.
Biz adam diyoruz, gelecek nesi atanmış. Hayda. Haydi bakalım. Aha.
I've lived in this forest all my life.
Aha.
And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that a ranger must never miss. A beast will hunt you, but it is the cruelty of man I fear. There is no truly escaping the Count's justice.
Aha. Oyunun karakter seçim ekranı. Yayın donuyor mu? Donmuyor ya, bende donmuyor, emin misin? Ne yapalım? Otomatik yaptım. Düşük gecikmeyi mi kapat demiştin sen? Ha şimdi.
more fear!
You won't get away this time.
I will put an
Şu an
end
iyi değil mi?
to this
Düzeldi.
madness.
Oğlum kuşa biniyor. Of.
Let this be a warning, Gianor. I'm coming for you next.
Onlar ne avradın ya. Oğlum kuşa muşa biniyordu biraz önce.
Let the hunt begin.
Oğlum efsane duruyor grafikler ya.
When we started to work on the Ranger, we knew we had to make a class with high agility. The dream of fast bow gameplay is Legolas, so that's what we wanted to deliver. The starting point is moving while shooting a bow. Any kind of basic arrow skill can be fired while moving, with a movement penalty. This immediately gives you a lot more freedom on the battlefield. Here, I'm starting each battle with a poison burst arrow to poison groups of enemies, then using a lightning arrow to arc lightning around larger packs. For even more mobility, we also have a variety of skills that involve vaulting around the battlefield too. This is Frost Escape. Using it jumps backwards and shoots a freezing arrow at the ground. Really useful if monsters close on you and you need to get away. Once you've landed, if monsters were frozen, it'd be nice to have some way to take advantage of that extra time. This is where Snipe comes in. Snipe is a skill shot that you need to charge up and release at exactly the right time. If you land the right timing, Snipe is
Oğlum çok
guaranteed to produce
efsane
a
duruyor
critical strike,
grafikler
and does
ya.
a small AoE as well, so it's a great finisher. You can also move while shooting arrow rain skills too. This skill is Lightning Rod. It shoots an arrow into the air that sticks into the ground and does a small AoE. Once the rods are in the ground though, they attract any arcs of lightning that are
olması
nearby,
güzel bir şey
causing
ya.
them to explode again. This means you can stack up a bunch of lightning rods on the ground and bounce lightning between them, doing way more damage.
Yani artık koşarken anladığım kadarıyla patır
Now this
kütür
takes care of
projektile
packs pretty well, but
atabileceğiz.
for bigger enemies, I'd like to have something that's going to enhance my damage output too. This skill is Stormcaller Arrow. Using it sticks an arrow into an enemy. After a short period of time, a lightning bolt comes from the sky and strikes them. This has a high chance to shock them, and shocked enemies take 30% more damage from all sources. If something big walks along, it's a good idea to throw one of these at them first to enhance your damage
Stormcaller
before
Arrow.
following up with the other combo. Now, if I really want to enhance this
Artık
combo,
böyle
there are a
olacak.
couple of things I could do
Gemler
using our
bender.
support gem system. Skills in Path of Exile are granted by items called skill gems. Each skill gem has colored sockets in it, and these sockets are for other items called support gems. Support
Güzel
gems
oldu
modify
ya.
your skills, and it's where a huge amount of the customization of your character comes from. First, I'm going to take this multiple projectile support gem. I could add it to my lightning arrow, and it would fire multiple arrows.
Artık
This
daha
would
iyi
increase
item
the number of
bulduğun gibi
targets I can hit,
kullanabileceksin.
but that isn't the effect that I'm after.
Bir daha
If I add it to
soket
my
moket
lightning rod
yapmanla
skill instead,
uğraşmayacaksın.
then when I fire it, I get a nice groove of rods. This means that I don't have to spend as much time setting up before I can use it with my lightning arrow combo. I might also add faster projectiles to make the lightning rods land faster too.
Chain taktı
Now
abi.
next up I'm going to grab this chain support gem. Chaining causes many effects to repeat on new targets when you hit them. If I add it to my lightning arrow, it will cause the arcs that come out of lightning arrow to strike even more targets, rippling along my line of lightning rods for huge amounts of damage.
Onlar ona sekecek, onlar ona sekecek. Okey. Restoration. Stormcaller Arrow'a taktı.
Now I think we can use support gems to improve Stormcaller Arrow as well. Let's start
Daha
simple.
erken
I'm going to
patlayacak.
chuck less duration on here. This will cause the lightning from the sky to strike a bit faster. Next up we have a support called Shock Proliferation. This
Isparta
support
alırsın.
makes it so that any enemies shocked by the skill will also have the shock jump to nearby enemies, meaning they'll take the extra damage as well. It's just a chance to proc, so it's not
Abi
going to
çok
proc on
güzel
every single pack.
gözüküyor ya.
But when it does, a pack will go down ultra quick.
Olsa da oynasak.
Another useful empowering skill is Barrage. Barrage is one of the rare cooldown skills in PoE 2. It enhances whatever your next attack is to fire 3 times.
Abone olmayı falan
With what
kapatayım
we
mı
have
ya şu
here, I
an?
think it might be a good idea to use it with Lightning Arrow. It'll generate
Yok
3
ama
times as many
dur. Ya
lightning
da
explosions.
kapatırız. Olmadı.
You could also use it at just the right moment with Snipe, or any number of other skills depending on what effect you need more of right now. It's very versatile and can be used in a range of situations. Now, even as mobile as the Ranger is, it's still very useful to slow monsters down, and a Ranger certainly has quite a few tools to do this. If you're prepared to get up close and personal, we have a skill called Electrocuting Rod. First, jump over the enemy and shoot it into them. Once the rod's in
Yarıkların
place,
kafasının
any
üstünden
lightning damage
atlıyor
they take will build
deşatınca.
up a special electrocute gauge. Once the gauge is full, the monster is totally suppressed, allowing you to kill them easily.
Gerek yok, kapatmayın diyorsunuz. Tamam. Okey.
Now, sometimes when you use electrocuting rod, the enemy dies before you get a chance to electrocute them.
Neural Overload.
I think there's
Primate
another
enemy
support gem I could
satıyormuş
add to my
yaratıklara.
lightning arrow to fix this problem. Neural overload will make it easier to electrocute enemies. If the skill it's attached to puts them over 50% of their electrocute bar,
Değişik
it will
yayılımlar
trigger
geliyor o
instantly.
zaman.
Now, this skill works really well for suppressing a single large enemy, but I'd like to improve my
Frozen
crowd control
Nexus.
ability for groups as well.
Chill efekti
I'm
arttırıyor.
going to add a
Deep
support gem
Freeze ne
called
yapıyor?
Frozen Nexus to my Frost Escape. This makes an area of chilled ground around frozen enemies.
Eyvallah abonelik için.
I'll also
Emre.
add Deep Freeze to it as well, which will make the freezes last a bit longer.
Oyun yavaş değil ama. Oğlum ben diyorum zaten yavaş değil oyun.
Now,
Meshblood
when I use
takınca
my Frost
uçak
Escape
gibi
on that
olacak.
front enemy,
Headhunter'ı
others
takınca.
nearby are slowed down. It would also
Vine
be good if I
Arrow.
had a way to slow enemies down when they're farther away from me as well. So this would be a great time to start
Skill
getting into the
gemleri en
range's
sola
poison
koyup
and plant-based skills.
Yanına
To
supportları
start with,
yapıştıracağız.
let's have a look at Vine Arrow. This skill fires an arrow into the air that creates a small plant where it lands. The plant sends out tendrils to nearby
Yere
enemies, slowing them
sabitliyor.
down and poisoning them. But it does have another function too. If the plant gets further poison, it transfers
Takınca
that poison to
DPS
the
mi
monsters
gözüküyor?
it's
Nerede
attached to.
gözüküyor ya?
Normally, you would only be able to get one stack of poison on a monster at a time, but you can
Niye
put as
drop
much
oldu?
poison as you
Heh,
want on this plant.
güzeldi.
You could just use the plant to slow monsters down and not worry about the poison part. If
Böyle
you
bir
want to go all in
saniyelik
on
drop
poison,
oluyor.
this is
Size
the
de
way to
oluyor
do
değil
it.
mi? Bir saniye böyle bir
Now, if
anda
you do want to
oluyor.
focus on poisons more,
Sonra
another useful
düzeliyor,
skill
bir
is
anda
Poison
bir daha.
Bloom Arrow. This skill creates these plant pustules on the ground. If you wait a little while, they'll explode.
Oğlum çok çeşitli olacak ya.
Just like any
Mekaniklere
other
gel.
plant skill, these plants respond well to poison. Shoot the
Yaratık
poison burst arrow at
poisonlanınca
enemies
canı
nearby
yeşile
and
döndü.
watch your
Fark
plants grow
ettiniz
more and
mi?
more powerful. Poisoning the pustules causes them to do much more damage and makes them explode much faster as well.
Pierce. Aynı support, okey.
I can also
Pierce'a
add the
delecek
Pierce
içinden
support
ve
to Poison
arkadaki
Burst arrow.
yaratığa da gidecek.
Doing this will mean I get multiple poison bursts as it goes through each monster.
Evet Peto Exile 2 oldum. Peto Exile yeni Ligi ya.
We also have another skill to make a nice environment for your plants to grow. Gas Cloud Arrow. This skill shoots the ground and creates a cloud of gas that
Yerde
continuously
kaos
poisons
bulut'a.
things inside it.
Poison bulut'u. Peto Exile
Throw
2
your
bu.
plants down, then put a gas cloud on top. The constant poisoning will make them grow.
Oy, kaos bulutu bu güzelmiş bu skill. Bu anlık drop niye oluyor acaba ya? Bunu mu acaba kapatayım? Hı.
Another poison-related skill we have on the Ranger is called Plague Bearer.
Otodan
This
kendi
is a
kendini
reservation skill,
değiştirdiği
meaning
için
it
mi?
uses spirit. When I enable it, I get this counter that counts up whenever I
Hı. Tamam, otodan çıkardım. Otodan
It
çıkardım.
does take quite a while to get the counter up to 100%, but it's worth it. Whenever I choose,
an
I can
artık
unleash
herhalde
the poison in
düzelir.
a big explosion around my character, dealing a large amount of damage.
Rain of Arrow.
Now next up we have a classic, Rain of Arrows. It's simple. Shoot a bunch of arrows in the sky and they rain down for a short time. It's decent AoE and damage at long range.
Rain of
Now
Arrow
this
yine
skill
aynı
doesn't
ya.
last too long, but we can change
Bak,
that. It's
yaratık
time to
sana
introduce
poison atınca
frenzy
gördün mü?
charges.
Senin canın da yeşil oldu.
Frenzy charges are used for a variety of skills on the Ranger, but with Rain of Arrows they can be used to extend their
Senin pisi
duration.
kaldırmadı Foy.
How do we get some though? Here we have a skill called Sniper's Mark. Put it on an enemy and it will grant you a frenzy charge when you crit them. Now remember that
Allah Allah.
snipe skill from earlier? That skill guarantees a critical hit. So first we Sniper's Marked an enemy, then we sniped them. And after that, the next rain of arrows will last a really, really long time. We still have some weaknesses though. While Rain of Arrows hits enemies with a ton of
Corrosion
arrows, each one
support'ta.
doesn't do much damage individually. It would be nice if we had a way to break the armor on
Otoyu al
enemies
diyorsa
so that
oto
Rain of
daha iyi.
Arrows
Oto
dealt
ama
more damage.
değiştiriyor ya sürekli.
Thankfully, we have this Corrode Armor support gem, and we can put it on our Gas Cloud arrow. Corrode Armor causes poison to erode the armor on targets until it's all gone. This will significantly increase the damage that Rain of Arrows does against armored targets. Oh yeah, and one more thing about gas clouds. They can be detonated with explosions. I have an explosive arrow here. Let's check it out.
Tamam, şu an daha kasma olmadı. Son 20-30 saniyede. Detonating arrow.
Now, because monsters and gas clouds are likely to have their
Dedim
armor
şu
broken,
ağzımı
I
dur.
think there's
Oto
enough
alalım. Oto alalım.
support provides extra bonus damage to targets that have their armor broken. Perfect for what we have going on here.
Kapatalım ya şunu. Heh.
So, those are just some of the skills we have on the Ranger class in Path of Exile 2. Now that we've seen all these skills, let's see how well they do against a much tougher enemy. It's time to fight the boss of the Tempest,
Aha, boss fight.
Thanos.
Aha, boss fight.
Cursed madness never ends. Only its radiance.
Oy ha. Asyer'in teyzesi. En azından ne öldüm? Yok ya, ölüm özeti yok. Onu ayıracak vaktimiz yok dedi ölüm özetine. Şey dedi, ölmeden hani anlayacaksınız neye öldüğünüzü dedi. Hani renklerle belli edeceğiz dedi. Kaos skill yediğinde senin canın yeşile dönecek dedi. Ekran falan yeşile dönecek dedi. Victor'dan mı diyor? Victor, Victor. Abi çok güzel gözüküyor ya. Şahane duruyor. Değil mi ya? Boss'un can barı gözükmesi çok güzel bir şey ya. Oğlum şu can barını copy paste yapsalar yapaya bile. Oğlum mükemmel duruyor ya. Oyun, gölgeler, her şey. Can barı olayı çok iyi güzel. Can barının altında bir şey de oluyor. O ne ki? Bilmiyorum. O ne ola ki? Aynen oğlum, onu nasıl fark ettin lan? Of of of. Boss fight'ine bak Allah'ım. Rage barı, skill atacağı zaman çıkıyor diyorsun.
And move on. This is how we
God of War sanki o amık oha.
That's the Ranger. But oh
Gold
yeah,
aldı
there was
oğlum işte,
one
daha
more
ne
thing.
istiyorsun?
The
Beto
map.
Exile 2 böyle olacak
Check this
loot'u.
out.
Ne bekliyorsun oğlum? Açlık, kıtlık,
Yes,
fakirlik.
you can ride a rower.
Oğlum,
While
mount
riding the
olması
rower,
çok
you can shoot
garip
arrows
lan.
with no movement penalty. It's pretty overpowered. You can also use your vaulting skills to jump right off the rower's back. Once the rower doesn't have a rider, it starts attacking monsters, so he's nice to have around, even if you're not riding.
Atımız olacak artık.
That said, if you are riding, don't get hit. If you take a heavy stun while on a rower, you'll fall off, and it takes a while to get up, so be careful. So
Şimdi
that's
boss'u
what we wanted to
meleler
show
nasıl
you today.
kesecek?
Now there is just one more rather unfortunate bit of news. Path of Exile 2's beta is going to be delayed. We previously said that we would get the beta out on June 7th, and while I think we would be able to get the game's content ready in time, we underestimated how long it would take to get gameplay polished to a standard that we're happy with. We're still going to be doing alpha testing in June, but we're going to be delaying the beta until
Mountlara
later
da
in the
belli
year.
dolar
I
harcarız.
don't have an
Ya,
exact date for you today, but it should be towards the end of the year.
Diablo gibi
In the
olmasına
meantime,
yetmiş.
you can still play Path of Exile 1, of course. Now, speaking of PoE 1, we also have the 324
PoE 2
expansion
bitti mi?
toolkits. I'm going to hand over to Mark, the game director on PoE 1, to show us what's in store.
Microtransactions.
We had a lot of fun making this one, so let's just get straight into it with the trailer for Path of Exile Necropolis.
Haydi bakalım. Path of Exile'in yeni ligi. Hadi hayırlı olsun.
Cold flesh, dirt, maggots, and ghosts. Our job is to keep them where they belong.
Oy.
It's your first night, so you'll need this. A ghostly lantern for ghastly tinkering. You'll
Nasıl ya?
learn to peer into the souls of the
Reality mi?
dead. You'll learn how to twist them.
MF mi? Quantity mi? %100 quant mı gördüm ben orada? What the fuck?
Meet me in the Necropolis.
%100 quant gördüm ben orada.
You can pilfer shiny
Well, right,
things from a
rating.
corpse. But you can pilfer glorious things from a soul. I need a grave digger.
Bu bildiğin yerden ceset. Oğlum aynen metamorfla bildiğin. Tier 17 mapler. İşte bu süper ya. Farklı farklı Atlas serileri ayarlayacağız. Mükemmel. Yeni gelen transfiguration okey.
The job's hard,
Undertaker.
pays good.
Haydi bakalım.
What do you say?
Oğlum o çok
In the
buff'lı lan.
Necropolis League, you will encounter Undertaker Aramor, a man collecting the scattered spirits of the Eternal Empire for a mysterious purpose. These spirits have begun to haunt the monsters of Rayclast, unleashing their ancient fury and sorrow onto the world. The Undertaker will provide you with the Lantern of Aramor, a powerful family heirloom which can illuminate the wrathful spirits haunting monsters throughout Rayclast. With
Okey.
it, the Undertaker hopes to employ you to rid Rayclast of this menace and further his cryptic cause.
Map
The
içinde
lantern can
bazı
be used when
yaratıklar o
entering any
bölgede.
new area. When peering through it, you can examine the spirits haunting that area. The lantern also allows you to manipulate them, letting you configure which monsters are affected by which mods. It would be wise to take your time with your decisions here, for the
Lan bu
spirits are
arkadaki
not
bulut ne
forgiving.
ya?
When peering through the lantern, you can also see extra details about the packs of monsters in the area. Rowers here are considered common, whereas the water elementals are more scarce. If you want things to be easier, you can put the more difficult spirits on the elementals, which you'll encounter less often. We've tried to make sure that by engaging with the lantern, you are able to intelligently control the difficulty in the Necropolis League. The
Guardian Reward
spirits
yok.
come in a
Oğlum
number
susar
of
mısın
forms which
lütfen?
represent
Spoiler
the danger
verme.
they pose. For example here, the infested vultures are servant haunted, causing them to deal a small amount of increased
Ben
damage.
şey anladım.
But
Yaratığın
the
damage'ini
Vols
niye
Vanguard are
artıralım ki?
noble haunted, causing them to deal a large amount of increased damage. As you reach higher level areas in Rayclast, the tier and number of spirits that are haunting monsters will generally increase. Your game knowledge can help you here. If you're aware of the composition of a monster pack, this means certain mods will be easier to manage. For example, the mod that increases a pack's damage for every monster killed has no effect on packs with a single
O
monster.
bölgeye
like a
özel
Devourer.
yaratıklar ekleyeceğiz. Fakat
However, if
güçlendirilmiş
we found a
yaratıklar.
spirit
O
that
modu
makes
da
the
biz
strongest
seçeceğiz.
monster in a
Okey.
pack deal 100% more damage, well, I'm going to avoid the Devourer.
Bu bize ne sağlayacak?
You might have noticed that the Lantern of
arkadaki
Aramor
bulut ne
provides
oğlum ya?
other useful information, such as the types of abilities monsters use or the damage types they deal.
Şu an artık drop
So for
yapmıyor değil
those who are
mi?
less
Dolma
familiar
yok
with
değil mi
how these
aga?
monsters
Yayında.
work, this can be a great way to learn what you're up against. The spirits are constantly moving throughout Rayclast, so if you are finding a campaign area too difficult, you can just wait a few minutes and peer through the lantern
Bak
again to
ligi
see what's
gösterirken
changed.
bile yarım saatte kesiyor. Path of
Of
Exile
course,
yavaş mı?
powerful
Değil.
spirits beget
Hop,
powerful
iki de aynı.
rewards. There are two
Hızlı olacak.
reasons why you might want to face a challenge now and then. Firstly, not
Bulut.
all the spirits are malicious.
Eksi 70'e
Sometimes
1.
the monsters aren't haunted at all,
Donma
but are
yok,
instead
süper, süper.
devoted. These can grant basic rewards like increased experience, or bigger rewards like spawning the Nameless Seer, an NPC that will grant you a single unique item after you defeat all of the packs affected by that spirit.
Neyle alacağız
The more
ama?
haunted monsters you defeat in the previous area before using the lantern, the more likely the devoted monsters will appear in the next area.
200 kuant ne?
Monsters
200
haunted by
kuant
higher
ne?
tier spirits will increase the chance of the devoted appearing even more, meaning that sometimes it's worth putting the hardest modifier possible on very common monsters. If you're brave enough.
Yaratığın damage'ini arttır,
Again,
life'ını
we've
arttır ama
tried hard here
kuantını
to
da
allow
arttır.
players to customize the
Deliriyor mu
danger
bu?
and rewards as
Aynen.
much as they can. Aramor is an undertaker, and you can probably guess what we're taking to him.
Daha zorlu yaratık ama
The second main
deliriyorum
reward from
oğlum
the
işte
Necropolis
aynı.
League is monsters with unresolved
Babgan
anguish.
bunu beğendi.
Once slain, their corpses need extra care from the Undertaker, and he will offer to take them back to his necropolis and store them in the morgue.
Oo, mezarcı geliyor. Cesedi
Time to
almaya.
earn your keep.
Tam ayrı bir
When you are
arenamız da var.
ready, you can visit the morgue to view
Bestiary
the
gibi
monsters you have
çiftlik.
collected, and then get to work burying them in one of many graves in Aramor's cemetery. For example, we will bury this Katava's Herald. Aramor's mysterious soul experiments can coalesce
Speed
powerful
modifier.
items.
Armor'da
Here I've chosen to create
spesifik
a pair
item
of
craft
boots.
bildiğinde bu.
Let us heal your pains and aid this soldier, so that you may grace them with fleetness.
These boots are useful
Moments
for my
speech.
character, but aren't exactly what I hoped for. And this is where the Necropolis crafting system really shines. You'll have noticed that the corpse we collected earlier had a
Quality'yi
crafting
30'a
effect on it. In
getir.
fact,
All road
all
plus
collected corpses do.
Olur plus
If you bury
güzel
multiple
güzel.
corpses in
Buradan
the
quality
cemetery,
30 yapacağız.
all adjacent corpses can be exercised at once to create one item.
Ama
All of the
düşen
crafting
item'i
effects on those
arttırıyor
corpses will
herhalde,
apply
değil
to
mi?
that same item. This allows you to have either one or many different crafting projects ongoing in the cemetery.
buradan
For
mükemmel
example,
item'ı
next time
craftla,
I try to
düşür.
create boots, I could bury corpses that increase the chance of getting move speed
Harvest'te
modifiers.
tarla yapar gibi.
To go further, I could use these to generate higher tier modifiers. Then, I could try to bias it towards being an evasion pair with this.
Lige bak, bir tanesini beleşe alıyorduk.
Finally, I'll apply some crafting effects that improve the probability of getting good rolls.
Şimdi mükemmel itemin düşüşünü izle.
Now,
Bas
let's
abi.
craft our item and see what we get.
Bas abi, mükemmel item düşüyor.
Free you of your
Boss ligi ama. Bir tane yaratık çıkarsa boss ligi.
you may grace them with fleetness.
Aa, direkt
As you
alıyoruz.
can see now, we have a
Yaratık da
much
çıkmıyor.
better pair of
Fight da
boots,
yok.
forged from the souls of our enemies. You could even use the entire cemetery to craft one item.
Kaç
There is
tane oğlum değil var,
always
ceset var
something you
orada,
can do to
mezar.
try and ensure your item will be as best as it can be.
Anguish and aid this soul.
We hope to see some really crazy grave crafts.
Aynen öyle. Ne seçtiysen direkt o
If you
banko
are lucky,
geliyor.
you might find corpses with meta crafting modifiers.
Olur
These
perf.
can be buried to manipulate your crafting projects in more drastic ways. This one increases the potency of all crafting effects of adjacent undead corpses. Another meta crafting modifier gives a chance to drop an extra item from your craft, with all the same crafting outcomes applied. All you have to do is bury a lot of undead monsters.
Oğlum buradan perfect item'ı düşür. Craft yapıp daha da perfect hale getir.
You of your anguish and aid this soldier, so that you may shield them from harm.
You can also craft new unique items exclusive
Oğlum
to the
oradan ne
Necropolis
itemler
League using this
düşüreceğiz var
system.
ya.
As you explore Rayclast, you might find the corpses of famous Eternal Empire families.
Düşürüp
And when you
düşürüp
bury an entire
saplayacağız.
family together and exorcise them, they will thank you with a unique specific to their lineage.
Ama map çok zorlu olacak oğlum. %90 damage arttırma falan gibi modlar var ya. O map'i nasıl yapacağız?
For example,
Deliriyorum
the
işte.
Nivalius Inheritance Belt. I'll give you a moment to check that out.
Flask effect. Flask duration. Duration per
You can
level.
use other corpses alongside them to grant implicit mods, manipulate the values of explicit mods, and more. In this case, with the
Bunun
Parandus
global
Pact,
defansı
you can even
getirdiniz mi?
change the modifiers it generates. This unique is a jewel which adds extra stats to passive skills in a radius when socketed into the passive skill tree. The stats it adds are randomly generated, but you can bias it towards a specific type by using other crafting effects, such as this one, which increases
20
the chance
divinlik
of getting life
CV'de çözer
modifiers.
burayı. Abi
Let's see
map
what we get.
Map bu ildi ya. Map çok zorlu olacak. Deliriyorum ya aynen. Deliriyorum. Ceset toplayacağız. Undertaker'a geleceğiz. Hadi şuradan güzel bir item ver bize. O da aha bu anı al
We
diyecek.
didn't get it this time. I guess we're gonna have to go and collect more corpses.
Ya,
Of
çok
course,
ya.
you
Bilemedim.
can trade the corpses away to other players. All you need to do is purchase empty coffins from the Undertaker
başkalarına da
and use them on your
saplayabilirsin
corpses
diyor.
in the morgue, which will itemize them.
Cesetleri de satabilirsin. İlla düşüreceksin diye bir şey yok. Güzel.
Another item in the
Güzel.
Necropolis League that you can find are embers of the All Flame.
TFT'ye muhtaç duyma diye
These are
yapmışlar
monster
onu.
spirits that remain living in the All Flame, a powerful ancient artifact of Rayclast. And you can set them free by placing them in the Lantern of Aramor and defeating them.
Harmless Proc
These embers
derken
drop throughout Rayclast as itemized packs of monsters. You are able to use these packs to replace the packs in areas.
Tavha
For
mı?
example, we have found this All Flame Ember
Tatlı
of
mu?
Talfoa. We can now go to
Tatlılar
enter the next
yoksa
area
bir dakika.
and replace one of the
Doğru mu
monster packs in
gördüm?
here. You can see we have also gotten one of the devoted modifiers to appear. We can pair up the Karui ancestors with this modifier, making them even more
Oğlum
rewarding.
şu arkadaki
Let's
bulut
go
ne
ahead
ya?
and replace the
Çıldıracağım.
tentacle miscreations.
Tatlıyı atıyoruz.
However, when replacing packs, you want to double check their density, as the new pack will inherit the density of the
Çok
replaced
daha
pack.
fazla içeride o yaratıklar olacak.
The Karui
Yani daha
ancestors
fazla
we have
korpse
now added
demek
to our
bu.
area can even drop basic variations of tattoos.
Bu da daha
If you
fazla.
aren't
O
aware,
item o
this
fragment
is an item
demek.
type from the Trial of the
Tatlılar
Ancestors
geri
League,
geldi.
which can be used on passive
CV'de
skills to change
AFK
what they
Uber
do.
Uber Render yükleniyor.
There are many different types of itemized packs. You can find Breach and Legion monsters that drop splinters,
Tatlılar geri
untainted
geldi.
packs that provide insane amounts of experience, and even
Her
simple
yerden
frogs,
increase
which
global
can be
defans
used to replace
almak.
difficult monsters to make life easier. And of course, these Ember
Oh
monsters
be,
can be
çok
raised
güzel
as
oldu.
specters too.
Çok güzel
Finally,
oldu.
let's discuss how this league works in in-game maps.
Aynen.
Each in-game map will allow you to manipulate it using the
400
lantern on the map
rarity,
device you
200
are.
quant.
However,
What the fuck is
instead
going
of
on?
randomly cycling every few minutes, it is fixed to that map.
Fabgan
Once
bunu
you view
beğendi.
the map
MF
through the
Ligi oğlum
lantern,
bu.
you cannot remove it from the map device. So you can't trade that map
Uy,
away now that
MF
you've
ile
seen
ne
it is
farm
too
yapılır var
difficult for
ya.
you, or has monsters in it that you'd rather avoid, like porcupines. We're also trying something new this time around.
Tatlı
During the
düşme
Necropolis
oranını
League, there will
arttırma.
be support for the League on the Atlas passive tree. Multiple clusters will be there, allowing you to enhance the gameplay, customize it, and even change its behavior in meaningful ways.
Oğlum 200 quant ne demek
One
lan?
way that you can
MF var
change
ya
the
MF.
crafting in a meaningful way is
MF'ler
with
şu an
the
boşalıyor.
Prospero's Wager Keystone. With this keystone, all the monsters with unresolved anguish come with this crafting
Oğlum
modifier,
100-200
which
quant ne
causes them to
demek
generate a
lan?
random craft when buried.
Oğlum MF
This
10
means
quant
instead of
için götünü
pre-planning your
yırtıyor.
crafts, you have to adapt to them on the fly to get the best results. These clusters will not be available in Standard League. In 3.24, we've made a plethora of changes to the endgame. We're introducing new bosses, adding another tier of maps, and streamlining the Atlas. The most difficult and most rewarding content in Path of Exile can be found in Uber Pinnacle bosses, such as the Maven and the Searing Exarch. Currently, the only way to access these bosses is by allocating specific keystones on the Atlas passive tree.
Tamam,
While
Uber
this
yapmak
system
için
offers a nice
keystone
element of
alıyordu.
control, it causes a problem. Rewards and access to the non-Uber variants are now economically priced around the rewards of the Uber fights.
Uber olmayan bosslar
This
çöp
means it is
oluyordu bu
wasteful
sefer
to
diyor.
run the non-Uber
Endgame'de.
variants instead of simply selling them. Another problem that we noticed is the difficulty jump between the Pinnacle and Uber Pinnacle content was relatively large, and there wasn't obvious content that could bridge this gap. Many players would give up on their characters before being able to defeat the Uber Pinnacle bosses. In 3.24, we will be making some changes to this. We are removing the keystones that give access to the Uber Pinnacle bosses from the Atlas tree, and instead we'll be adding a new set of fragments that give you access to this content.
Çok güzel
Where do
oldu.
you get these fragments?
Ayrı
We
fragmentı
are
var.
adding a new tier of maps, Tier 17 maps, which not only give you access to the Uber Pinnacle content, but also test your characters in new ways.
Uber
They
bosslar
feature a new
artık
set of
tier 17
bosses,
olacak diyor. What
Uber
the fuck is
monsters,
going on?
and a new tier of modifiers that can roll on
Tier
the
17
maps. There are 5 new Tier 17 maps in total, with some
de
surprising boss
modifi-
fights at the end. We'll
Değiştiremeyeceğiz.
look at a couple today, and the rest you'll have to discover for yourself.
Bak
First, we have
Atlas
the
seriden
Citadel
çıkması
map.
çok güzel. Ayrı
This map
kez
contains an
fragment
ancient
olması
Kaldurian
mükemmel.
citadel. You will encounter
T17
many
olması
expedition
nasıl
monsters as the
acaba?
signature packs
Ayrı
throughout
map
the map.
olacak. Bir
At
de
the end,
modifiye
you will
edilebilecek
fight
map veya
Uber
Currency
Uhtred.
paran atamayacaksın.
This is a version of a boss from Expedition League, with all its abilities and mechanics enhanced. Uber Uhtred will even be able to summon 2 other expedition bosses to aid it during the fight.
Diğer Expedition bossları da
Secondly, we have
eklenecek
the
diyor.
Fortress map. This map is an impregnable fortress, guarded by monsters from the Heist League. At the end, you will encounter an
T17
Uber
olacak
version
artık
of the
Uberler.
Unbreakable. Again, it has enhanced abilities and mechanics you'll have to learn and overcome. Each of the Tier 17 map bosses has a chance to drop a unique item, allowing for
Katarina
some
mı?
target farming.
Uber
However,
Katarina.
these aren't entirely new unique items. Instead, we've taken other unique items,
Uber
removing them from
Katarina
the core
artık
drop
bir
pool
Tier
and
17 map'i
rebalancing
mi?
them to fit here.
Doğru mu
One
anladım?
example is this reworked version of Wraith Lord. It has 4 Abyss sockets, and allows you to summon an additional Spectre for each
4
Ghastly Eye
tane.
Jewel socketed into it. Another example is
4
Mana
tane
Storm.
bir şevalı var.
This has been rebalanced to grant a lot more damage than before, alongside some more impactful mana stats, if you can get lucky rolls. Alongside adding Tier 17 maps, we have also changed the Uber Pinnacle bosses to have completely distinct unique item drop pools from their non-Uber counterparts. This means there is a reason to farm both versions. Let's take a look at the Shaper versus the Uber Shaper. The Shaper will drop these uniques:
Tamam.
Voidwalker, Shaper's Touch, Solstice Vigil, and Dying Sun.
Tamam. Sadece
Whereas
bunları
the Uber
düşürüyor
Shaper will
Shaper.
drop these:
Uber
Echoes of
Shaper
Creation,
bunları düşürüyordu.
Sublime Vision, Entropic Devastation, Starforge, and a new unique belt called the Tides of Time.
Bu ne
Another
oğlum?
example of a new unique is this helmet from the Uber Eater of Worlds.
Flash şarjı mı alıyor bir
Ravenous
dakika.
Passion. And these
Cevdet de
gloves
bunu
from the
beğendi
Uber
onu
Searing
göremedim ya.
Exile, the
Fortify.
Celestial Brace. Each of the Uber Pinnacle bosses has a new unique added to their drop pools. We've identified another major problem with the endgame we'd like to address. With every expansion added to the game, we have been increasing the complexity of running maps. It's at the point now where a player must repeatedly execute a large sequence of steps to run maps efficiently. It can be easy to
Uber
forget
bossların
critical
olayı
steps,
çok güzel oldu.
and it
Ayrı bir
can be
map
tiring
olması
to
ya.
repeat them.
Çiçek gibi.
To solve this, we are removing some systems, but are keeping what is good about them.
Masterlar
The 2
nerede?
main systems we've removed are Sextants and the Master Mission Selector. It is not our intention to dull the content, however. We have
Master Mission'ı
completely
artık
reworked
seçemeyeceğiz
Scarabs to
map'i
include most
baştan.
of the options that were previously covered by those mechanics,
Sebebi
and
neydi?
many, many more. Let's take a look at some of them. Commonly, you might find Scarabs that simply grant access to different content. Here, we have a Scarab that causes Beyond demons to spawn when killing monsters in your
Beyond
maps.
Scarab'ı süper.
And here, we have one that adds a Delirium mirror. Each type of
Delirium
Scarab now
Scarab.
has multiple versions, so if you want to fully invest in a type of content, you can do so. Here's a suite of Ultimatum Scarabs. This Ultimatum Scarab adds an Ultimatum encounter to a map. This Ultimatum Scarab of Bribing then causes that Ultimatum encounter to grant better rewards and its monsters to yield more experience. This Ultimatum Scarab of Dueling will cause that Ultimatum encounter to always guarantee the Trial Master boss fight at the end, assuming you can survive through all the rounds. This Ultimatum Scarab of
Bu da bir nevi
Catalyzing will
Winged.
cause
Evet.
all rewards from that Ultimatum to be catalysts, instead of other
Sadece
rewards.
Catalyst
And
verecek.
finally, this Ultimatum Scarab of Inscription will
Winged'ın da
cause
üstü
all
geldi.
catalyst
Tamam.
rewards
Yeni
from
bir
that
Scarab
ultimatum
şey
to be
geldi.
inscribed ultimatums instead. There are
Yeni
plenty of
Scarab
others.
geldi.
If you enjoy divination card farming, you might want to use these. This Divination Scarab of Curation causes more divination cards to drop for each different favorite map you
Different
have selected.
favorite map'ler.
But it also
Tamam.
causes whatever map you're running to only drop divination cards from those favored maps. So if you want to try and aim for your Mage Blood and don't want to just farm Crimson Temple, then this Scarab is for you. This Divination Scarab of Completion causes your divination cards to have a 20% chance to
Bunları
drop
bir
as a full
tekrar bir daha
stack
izleyeceğiz
instead for
YouTube'dan.
maximum dopamine.
Çok game changing şeyler
Basically,
söylediler.
there are now
What the
just a lot
fuck?
of Scarabs. You might have
Oğlum, bu
also
Scarab
noticed that they
ne?
no longer have tiers. Scarabs are now all
O
world
Scarab
drops.
da bu ne?
You can get them anywhere.
Bir dünya
Some might
Scarab
be rarer than
eklemişler.
others, but the intention is that there'll be
O
a
zaman
lot more
Scarab'lar
options than
çok off
before,
oğlum.
and more
T17'de
interesting
Scarab düşecek.
combinations to
T17
consider.
farmı oğlum
If you
direkt.
want to target specific scarabs, Betrayal has been updated to include most of them, and you will need to
Betrayal
relearn
da
which
çok
ones
güzel
come
olacak
from
o
where.
zaman Scarab'lar düşeceği için.
While this system is allowing you to heavily invest in one type of content,
Düşündüğüm
it
şey
is
olsun
reducing
bir
your
işte.
capacity for variety.
Düşündüğüm
To
şey
address
olsun.
this, we have massively increased access to content on the Atlas passive tree.
Düşündüğüm şey
You are
mi?
now able to reliably get different leagues like
Awesome.
Breach or Legion from just your Atlas passives. Regarding master missions, content
şey
such as
olmadı
Incursion, Delve, Betrayal, and Bestiary, these too are now accessible with Scarabs, and have more reliable investment options on the tree. Not only
Valdolar
this,
kalktı.
you
Valdo
can now
mapleri
get
kalktı. O
Jun,
Meşbulat bilmem
Einhar,
ne.
Alva,
T17'ler
and Nico
Uber
to
oldu.
appear
Uber
together in
farmı.
the same map.
Uber
We have
Maven'a
also
Maven
removed some
fragmentiyle
keystones
girebileceksin
such
yani.
as Wandering Path, Grand Design, and Growing Hordes. But I've added some new ones too. For example, Unwavering Vision,
Tamam, Stream of Cons'u buraya getirmişler.
Back to Basics,
Ne lan?
and Thorough Exploration. And we have added some new notables
Empowered
such
by
as
Wisp mi?
Remarkable Relics,
Wisp'ler duruyor mu ki
which
oğlum?
allows you to try find better variants of Scarabs. Mounting Modifiers, which increases the values of modifiers on your maps by
Bu çok
2%
güzel.
for each
Onu
explicit
kesin alacağız
modifier.
ligin başında.
And Tainted
Ama
Carapaces,
almayı da biliriz.
which is just one in a set of many that allow you to target farm specific types of Scarabs.
Çok zorlaştırır onu
These are just
olursa.
a few of the many new notables that can be found on the Atlas passive skill tree. Lastly, we are giving you more flexibility in what
Oğlum
content
çok
you want to
garip
run
lan.
in the endgame. In 3.24, you can now have multiple copies of the Atlas tree.
Oğlum koskocaman
Which can be
DLC mi
swapped between
yayınladınız? Ne
maps at your
yaptınız
leisure.
oğlum? Şu
You can
olay çok
unlock up
güzel.
to 2 extra trees
MF
for a total
Strat
of 3
diye.
by
İsmi de
progressing
MF
through the
Strat.
endgame and completing core content. When you open a map, you can select which tree you would like to use.
Soldakiler ne lan?
For a
Essence
given league, you'll
Expedition
never feel
mı?
constrained to play in
Harbi
your endgame
Scarab
a
mı?
single way. You can also label
Hat
your
yerini
trees to easily
seçebiliyorsun.
identify which one has
Mükemmel.
which content.
Mükemmel.
With all this combined, we're hoping to see new endgame strategies
Çok
shine
iyi.
through.
Çok iyi.
While playing through the campaign in 3.24, you'll notice a myriad of small improvements and surprises. The fundamentals of the campaign are still intact, but we've scattered fun encounters and secrets throughout Rayclast. The Dweller of the Deep has been trapped. What are these ritual shrines doing in the northern forest? And why are they giving me omens?
Ya campaign yapar kimse yine bunları yapmayacak ki. Yapar
This
mı?
device looks safe. I should definitely use this on my items.
Oha,
There are
leveling'deyken
plenty more encounters to discover. We'll continue adding more surprises in future releases, so keep an eye out. In the previous expansion,
hoş ya.
3.23, we released a large number of transfigured skill gems.
yeni gelen
These are alternate
transfigured
versions of
gemler.
existing skill gems that function in very different ways, allowing for more build and gameplay variety. At the time, our aspirations were higher than we could achieve. We planned more gems than we could make. So, in 3.24, we're adding another set of transfigured gems that we have now finished. Ice Shot, Incinerate, Artillery Ballista, Tornado, Elemental Hit, Kinetic Blast, Poisonous Concoction, and lastly, Summon Holy Relic. Hopefully those of you who missed your favorite skill having a transfigured variant will get that here. We will certainly be adding more of these in the future, especially for skills that are missing them still. Of course, we'll also be doing a balance pass on the existing transfigured gems. One of the main ones we're looking at is Kinetic Bolt of Fragmentation. As a result of this change,
Aynen,
it is clear
Kinetic
that
Bolt
the in-game potential
Fragmentation.
of the Wander
Çok oktu bu
archetype
ya.
really starts to suffer,
Tek atıyordum
mostly in the
Uber'lere
single
bununla.
target damage department. Due to this, we've added the new support gem, Sacred Wisps. This support
Sacred
gem
Wisp.
causes supported skills to create 2 attached wisps
İki
for a
tane
duration.
minyon gibi bir şey
With
geliyor.
these wisps, whenever you attack, they have a chance to also use the same skill, if you have enemies in your presence. And if there are any rare or
Aa,
unique
seni
enemies,
taklit
they will
taklit
always use
edip
the
o da
skill.
vuruyor.
That leads us into all the other quality of life features we're introducing in 3.24, and there's a shitload of them. Many of these have been revealed in teasers already, but here's a quick summary. We've added the automation and call to arms skill gems, for being able to trigger instant skills and war cries without
Geri
having to
adım mı
bind them to
attılar?
left click. You can now hold down Control and left click to automatically apply
Yok.
certain currency orbs until they achieve the desired result.
Bu
Or you run out.
mükemmel ya.
For
Fuzikleri
example,
otomatik atacak
you can
olmak
hold down
mükemmel bir
fuses
şey
until
ya.
you reach maximum links.
Artık
You will be
otomatik
able to
parmaklarımız
control, shift,
yorulmayacak.
click currency into a trade window to automatically move all of that currency at once from your inventory.
Oğlum MF çok hop olacak.
Detonate Dead now has clearer telegraphing effects. When harvest
Hardcore'cular bunu
crafting, the item
beğendi.
hover will always be
Harvest
visible,
artık
so you
gözükecek.
no longer have to mouse back and forth to
Venus
see the
Brand'ı
results of your
nörtlemek. Venus
crafts.
Brand'ı yok edecekler.
When you use a
Winterop'tan beter
Val orb on a
olacak.
map, the map no
5
longer
notları
has a
gelsin
chance to
beraber
become unidentified.
bakarız Venus Brand'da neler
Instead, it
olduğunu.
adds a new implicit. We've created a set of implicits that affect the areas in fun ways.
Divine Stack 20'ye
Related
çıkmamış
to
mı?
that,
Nasıl
corrupted
çıkmamış?
and mirrored items can now be identified. Breach
Mirrored
hands
item
now open
identified
upon
mı?
approach, and no longer need to be
Ya
clicked.
en sonunda düşmeyecekmiş.
Upgrades to Pantheon powers now apply to all characters in a league. You no
En
longer
sonunda
need to
düşecek
grind divine
sandım ben
vessels
ya
on each new
bilişler.
character.
Neyse bir
With
umutlu.
harvest crafting, you can now re-roll Uber Elder fragments. Fragments dropped by the Shaper cannot be re-rolled into fragments
Oğlum bir
dropped
nevi
by the Elder,
delirium geldi
and
oğlum
vice
lige.
versa.
Delirium geldi.
Regarding
MF var ya
betrayal, we're removing
MF'ler
Ashling's crafting bench as a reward.
ikinci gün Divine'lık
Instead,
için silecek.
Veiled orbs now perform that function. They remove a mod and replace it with a veiled mod.
Tamam Ezin Corp
These
oldu
orbs
artık
now
bir
drop from
nevi.
Katarina and are
Ve
no
sadece
longer a world drop.
Katarina'dan düşüyor. Bu yüzden
Flasks
çok
can now
pahalı
be
olacak.
corrupted by Val orbs, giving random -10 to +10 quality. The
Oğlum
capability
%100
to add
kuantlar
extra
muantlar
quality to
gördük
weapons,
oğlum map'e
armors,
girerken.
and
%100
flasks has
kuant
been
ne?
removed from betrayal.
%200 rarity ne?
The betrayal bench craft that converts an amulet to a talisman
Hayal
has been moved
etsenize
to
bir.
bestiary, and thus can be traded. Maven invitations no longer drop. Instead, when you
Maven
have completed
invitation'lar
witnessing
düşmeyecek
all
artık,
bosses required
okey.
to go to the Maven's arena, you can just talk to Kerak, and he'll open a map device
Kiraç'tan
window with
oto
the
açacağız.
invitation already in there,
Okey.
ready to be rolled. Valdo's maps that granted invitations
Mage Blood
now get
nerflenmedi
scouted.
herhalde. Çok ağzımı açmayayım da.
No more having to waste Guardian kills to
Enkin'in
try and get
korba bir şey
invitations
olmamış
to drop.
herhalde. O inşallah.
Next up,
Tamam
we're going to
supporter
be
pack.
talking
Oh
about
Mage
our new
Blood'ımız
league supporter
nerflenmedi o
packs.
zaman.
Today, we're launching two new series of
Delirium
supporter
Ligi
packs,
hayırlı olsun.
the Solar and
Yeni
Eldritch
Delirium
packs.
Ligi.
Each
Yaratıklar
tier
bayağı
contains the
zorlu
full
olacak
pack's
map'te.
face value and points,
Ama isteyen
alongside
boss var
several
mı da
exclusive
yapabilir. T17'ler onu
microtransactions.
bekliyor.
These packs
T17'lerde
are only
Uber'ler
available
gözükecek
for the
artık.
duration of the Necropolis League, and
Çok
will leave
güzel
the
ya.
store forever
Bu
when it
arada
ends.
drop olmadı değil mi ya?
As
Dolma
always,
molma
the
olmadı değil mi?
microtransactions in these packs are purely cosmetic and do not affect your
O
character's
YouTube'a atacağız
power or
oğlum bu yayının
progression in
geçmişini.
any
Dolma
way.
olmadı değil mi?
The Solar series of
Supporter
supporter packs
pack.
contains 6 exclusive microtransactions.
Oğlum o ne?
The
Kaplumbağanın
Cosmos
üstündeyiz.
weapon effect adorns your weapon with stars.
Çöp.
Hitting enemies causes cosmic energy to spill out into the area around them. The Radiant Orb of Chance extra effect projects the outcome of items you've used an Orb of Chance on above your head.
Çöp.
Remember to congratulate other exiles in town if you see them chance a powerful unique item.
Orb of Chance. Kim
Shine
atıyor
boldly
oğlum
with
ya?
the Solar Knight armor set. The power of the sun radiates from your body, getting more and more intense as you use skills and emitting solar flares as you run.
Hiç güzel değil.
With the supernova level up extra effect, the dead will be raised from the ground around
Bu
you
ne ya?
before being obliterated and turned to ash by an epic supernova whenever you level up. This one is my personal favorite. The cosmic turtle hideout lets you
Oha!
travel the infinite
Çok
expanse
iyi
of the
ya.
cosmos
Oğlum
atop the
Guild
back of a
Hideout olarak bunu
colossal
alırdık
turtle.
lan.
Carry
Çok
the weight
iyiymiş.
of the sun on your back with the solar
Eyvallah
guardian back
Şerafettin.
attachment. Witness it grow larger
Bu arada
and
oyuna
larger
yeni
as
başlayacak
the energy of
arkadaşlar.
slain
Tam
enemies is
sırası.
funneled into
Tam
it.
başlamanın
When it
sırası.
reaches its maximum
Benim
size, it
başlangıç
goes
rehberinde
supernova.
izleyebilir.
It turns
Ünlem
into a
rehber
black
yazıp
hole,
direkt
forever
başlayabilir.
drifting
Tam
throughout
sırası.
Raycast. The Eldritch Pack series also has 6 exclusive microtransactions. Are you
İyidir
wondering if we
seninki
moved the stash
eve
in the latest
götürebileceğiz.
patch? Don't be fooled, because with the Mimic Stash Pet, players can transform into
Aa.
an image of a stash when in a town or hideout and scare unsuspecting exiles.
Tavna
This
hideout
pet
mu
follows
yapacaksın?
behind you
Bu
with
ne
its
oğlum?
terrifying hand walking the rest of the time.
Yanımızda
The
stage mi
Shaper's
taşıyacağız?
Slam finisher effect sends slain unique enemies into a
Final abyss of unending darkness.
The Eldritch Hunger armor set contains a beast that demands you to feed it by embracing your bloodlust. Watch it grow in power the more you kill until it bursts from the shell of the helmet. Are you able to satiate its hunger? The seed within the corrupted growth
Aman
map device
avradını,
expands
çok
its grasp on
güzel.
your hideout the more maps
Ama
you
zaman
complete on your
süreli hideout
atlas.
varken bunu kim kullanır?
Equipping the Headhunter character effect causes skulls of slain rare enemies to whirl around you like trophies.
Headhunter Efe.
They become enraged when you are near a rare enemy you are yet to kill,
Aldığın rare
wishing for
modları
them to
böyle
join your
gözükecek.
collection.
MF bunu beğendi.
Witness a reality where the struggle didn't exist, allowing the Eldritch Horrors to settle their own conflicts with the Eldritch Horror Apparition effect. Which of the Eater of Worlds or Searing Exarch do you think will win? These packs are now available for purchase on both PC and console, and will remain so during Path of Exile Necropolis. Meanwhile, the Shade and Disciple packs leave the store forever at the launch of Necropolis.
Güzel ya, güzel.
So now's your last chance to purchase
Eyvallah
them.
abone ol.
Thank you
Abonelik
so
için.
much for your ongoing
Tinax.
support. We're just about to start the Q&A with Ziggy D.
Violet Orb artık
Afterwards,
Ezin
we'll
Corp
post
oldu.
Path of Exile
İsmi değişmedi
Necropolis'
ama
full patch notes.
Ezin Corp oldu.
With release at the end of next week, our community team will be posting crucial information you'll need
YouTube'a
for
geldi mi?
Necropolis'
Linki
release.
atabilecek var
Keep
mı?
an eye
Bir
on
baştan
the news.
bir ufak bir tekrar
On release
yapalım.
weekend, we expect to launch the new mystery box and this season's Kerax Vault Pass. Thank you for joining us today and checking out our latest
Thank
developments.
you for joining
We're
us
looking forward to doing
demiş.
some
Biz de
awesome
YouTube'a
Gravecraft and
görüşürüz
conquering the
diyelim.
new
YouTube
in-game
buraya
bosses with you
kadardı.
next week. We'll begin the Q&A
Devamını
shortly,
izlemek
so
isterseniz
please get your
Twitch geçmiş
questions
yayına
ready.
bakabilirsiniz. YouTube için ayrı bir patch notlarını anlattığım bir video olacak. Şimdi Twitch'tekilerle devam ediyoruz. Buraya kadar izlediğiniz için teşekkürler diyeyim.